Hello, everybody. Thanks for sticking around. This is the new release rundown after Table Takes. So thank you for hanging out while we reset everything. This week we are joined by
Young Will.
Young Will.
William.
Is that what we're calling you this week? Is Young Will?
That's my nickname growing, like in college. Was my friends would call me Young Will.
Was there an old Will you had to compete against?
I was just the youngest in the house, so I was Young Will. So I was the baby of the house.
All right. Then you work at Mox.
I work at Mox.
Okay.
Yep. I work retail at Mox Seattle. We are located in Ballard. We have a location in Bellevue as well too, and we're going to be opening a location in Portland here in the next couple months. We're aiming for, I think it's anywhere between now and like January, February, depending on when.
So a period of time in the future to be soonish.
Yes. Look forward to it down south. It'll be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to opening down there. It'll be very cool. Yeah.
Great. So what did you bring this week that came out that you were excited about?
I brought some stuff in this morning. To be honest, a lot of this came out like this morning that I grabbed from the store. So a lot of this
so
is
you know all of it.
You've
played all of it. You are an expert.
An expert in all things, as
Sounds
always.
great.
Yeah. So let's start with Tsuro. One of my personal favorite games. It's a classic party game. This is Tsuro Rising.
So this is like the third variant of Tsuro, or the second variant, the third Tsuro game.
Third Tsuro game, exactly. Yeah.
And this was on Kickstarter for a long time.
It was. They are all standalone expansions as well too. So each one of these can be bought and purchased and used by itself, or they can be used essentially as an expansion version. This is the third and most complicated, I say, but also the most interesting version of the game. So far, they've added boats and dragons with the second expansion. This takes it a little bit further in that you can change tiles and you have lanterns, and as well you have a phoenix piece. So in the classic game, you kind of had the you're playing it with, for those of you who are not familiar with Tsuro, you are playing tiles into a grid pattern. You start on the edge of the board, and you just want to knock everyone else off the corner of the board and keep your stone moving safely inside the board over the course.
It's like a route building game. You're trying to make a route, and eventually, because of the way the board is laid out, all the pieces will match up, and you will eventually make a route that takes you off the board.
No matter what.
So what you're trying to do is just avoid that.
Essentially, over the course of the game. Phoenix Rising adds a very cool mechanic, which is phoenixes. So in this version of the game, you're actually playing as a phoenix. So the first time you would burn out, you get to respawn back in the game as well too. So with the mythos of the phoenix, and then as well too, you get to change lanterns as you go past them, which allows you to move tiles and switch the routes now as well too.
Interesting.
So it has a little bit more control over, I'd say, the actual like routes themselves. If you run into something that you didn't like, you now have the ability to kind of change that on the board.
So have you played it yet?
Not yet.
Because I wonder. I mean, just with the way Tsuro plays, I wonder how much this gives you control over how things change.
That's what I'm
or more just it's going to make things a little more chaotic because in Tsuro you only have so much control. A lot of the excitement of Tsuro is that like you're just holding on by the skin of your teeth.
I've got
hoping that you can last.
2 things left in my hand, and I've only got 1 space left in front of me. And can I save myself? Right? Exactly. Yeah. And I'm wondering is the Phoenix mechanic is respawning? Does it just make the game longer? Is it going to prolong the experience, or is there some strategy as to, okay, well, do I start on a new side of the board or something as well too? So
it also is interesting. Some of these tiles don't match.
Yes, exactly.
So this is a little bit different from normal Tsuro because in normal Tsuro, all the tiles always match each other. Here, there appear to be some dead ends, and there's a couple ones that go from corner to corner. So there's it seems a little more chaotic than normal Tsuro.
Yeah. And I'm curious as to, because Tsuro and Tsuro of the Seas themselves are both such clean design. Like it's extraordinarily simple to explain to somebody how it works, but it's once you start getting into it, you have that immediate moment of like, oh, I know what I'm doing, and I feel like I'm making choices, and I am being presented with a lot of options and stuff as well too. They're also an 8-player game, so it's a really good party game. It's a thing that I bring to like Thanksgiving, like Christmas and stuff a lot as well too.
Because it reminds me a lot of like Carcassonne in the base Tsuro, of just how simple the execution of Tsuro is.
Exactly, right.
Like anybody can play.
Exactly, yeah. And what I liked about Of the Seas is that you can still play regular Tsuro with Of the Seas tiles and just ignore the dragons. This seems to be, you're going to be playing Phoenix Rising if you're playing this version of Tsuro. So you are playing with changing tiles, you are playing with the dead ends, you're playing with phoenixes. So it looks like you can't kind of dumb this down a little bit though in the way that you could with Tsuro of the Seas. But also, again, this is going to have more complexity. So if your group or your family or someone is looking for that, again, it's the next thing after that.
This is obviously for fans of Tsuro.
For sure.
People who want kind of a simpler game that's probably a little more accessible.
For sure, yeah. Party game people, yeah.
What's the spite level for this one? Because like normal Tsuro, there's no spite until suddenly there is.
Until you're the last person standing and somebody knocks you off.
Or you have that thing where your paths converge, and someone else has control over your fate, and they send you off the board.
They see where you're about to go exactly, and they knock you off exactly. So for this, I think the spite level is probably somewhere around the same or less, most likely, because you also have, if you have an extra life, you can kind of, okay, well, you knocked me off the board, but I get to start over here, you know what I mean, as well too. So I would think it would probably almost lessen the spite in that way as well too. It almost seems more friendly, but also it's also more complicated as well too. It just seems more like you're probably more thinky and more critical thinking, less direct player interaction going on. Is my best guess.
Some people in chat are talking about it, and I'd recommend people go to the Kickstarter page for the project because this was on Kickstarter. A lot of details were there, so there's probably going to be a lot more. Tutorials, how-to, things like that. So this is now in retail from being on Kickstarter.
Yep, just came into retail this morning. We just got on the floor this morning. So yeah, it looks very exciting. I love the game itself. The pieces look fantastic as well too.
Great.
The new Phoenix pieces look amazing. They're these very cool, very dynamic sculpts as well too. So yeah, it looks very, very cool. Very
Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
Next up, we have, let's go with Quirky Circuits because this game looks really cute and I love cute games. Yeah, Quirky Circuits. So Quirky Circuits is this is a cooperative. It is more of a very much like kind of a kids game. This is going to be scenario-based, cooperative kind of action taking. So the idea here is based on each of the scenarios you have in the book. You have 22 scenarios in the box itself. What it is each
24
scenarios in the box. Each scenario, you have a big booklet that you're going to be playing. So I can turn this in the back here. You can see on the back of the box here, there is a very large booklet that we have here. Each of the booklets has a scenario itself. So we're at a diner, or we're a cat in the living room, and we need to chase away some mice, or there is a number of different kind of interactive things you do. The idea is you set the little map up and you place your miniature and you place the tile, the tokens that you'd have. So if we were playing as the cat, we'd have our mouse tokens, or you have diner patrons and you have food tokens that you're trying to serve everyone over the course of the game. And the idea is we would be playing cards into the center at the same time. And then it's a programming game where we then reveal those cards, and then based on what the programming we've given it, the robots will then kind of move around the board.
Yeah, people were comparing it to Robo Rally.
Especially like Robo Rally, yeah, or Robot Turtles is another one that I'm also more familiar with as well too. But it definitely has that cooperative kind of that programming feel. If you got kiddos that are anywhere in that 6 to 9 age group, it's great for something like that as well too.
It says 8+.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you got those 6-year-olds, they better be smart.
Precocious 6 to 8-year-old. It's cooperative as well too. So you're working together. So again, it's very much we're going to be placing a number of cards. You can see the cards here have the actions on them as well too. And then based on that, we have a win scenario and stuff as well too. I think it looks really, really cute. I love kids games and stuff that is especially cooperative.
Cute adorable Robo Rally certainly doesn't sound like a bad thing.
Especially not, yeah. The miniatures look fantastic.
And wasn't this on Kickstarter as well?
I believe this is on Kickstarter as well too. It's Plaid Hat Games as well too, and I love Plaid Hat Games as well too. They do Crystal Clans, which is one of my personal favorite. Like if you like Summoner Wars, definitely go check out Crystal Clans for sure. But I love all their products. They have very high quality pieces. Their board and their artwork is always fantastic. If you like puzzle games, or if you like, kind of escape the room style games and stuff as well too, it kind of has that feel where it's a scenario and you have a win condition and you have to place a number of correct cards, and then the programming fires off and you see if you've won the game as well too.
Cool.
So, yeah, if you like those kinds of games, again, this is something a little bit less spiteful.
Well, yeah. So it's co-op. So theoretically, there's no spite.
Theoretically, there's no spite. Yeah, you are placing cards and trying to judge what the other person's also placing in the board. So
because presumably you can't just directly communicate or play with an open hand.
No, yeah,
and like almost all co-op games are built around some sort of limitation on communication.
Exactly.
So that the challenge is trying to come to an understanding with your other players when you can't just tell them everything that you want to tell them.
Yeah, and they talk about programming chaos in this, where if we have too many of a certain action, like our robot will run into a wall or things like that, and it's that programming chaos.
So Roomba Simulator.
Exactly, yeah, Roomba Simulator, exactly, yeah. So it definitely has that as well too. So yeah,
Great.
Yeah, definitely very cute, very.
And Robo Rally is a very classic game that people love.
Absolutely, yes.
So more executions of that idea is not bad.
That style of game. Yeah, totally. Yeah. Let's go something a little more classic. Let's look at this Clue D&D game that that came out recently.
Dungeons and Dragons Clue. We were talking about this in chat very briefly.
Yeah.
Because they were asking like why Clue was out here. They were asking about some of the characters. So it seems like it's a Baldur's Gate themed execution of Clue.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Just released. If you love the D&D world and if you like Baldur's Gate, this is awesome. It's got Minsk and Boo. It has. Let's see who else here.
Slobbergraw.
Slobbergraw. We got Lulu. Or Slobberchops. Silveria Savarkis. Rhea Mantlemorn. A lot of the classic characters from the old video game, if you're familiar with the old, especially like Go for the Eyes. Boo,
so literally, Minsk and Boo is the only thing I recognize here.
Really? Is it really? Yeah.
But I fully support Slobberchops.
Slobberchops and Lulu are also two pretty quintessential Baldur's Gate kind of characters as well too. Yeah. But yeah, the locations are different. So you have the port. You have they're just locations inside of Baldur's Gate essentially. So you have. There is a market. You have kind of like an underground dungeon and stuff as well too.
And from the cover, it looks like you're trying to. So like it looks like Zariel, because this probably ties into Descent into Avernus. Because Zariel is the devil who's involved in that.
Exactly.
Apparently, some of her minions have slain a hero.
Yep.
So you're trying to figure out who died, what the murder weapon was, and where the infernal puzzle box has been hidden, so you can go into Hellraiser.
Exactly. They have such beautiful things to show you, right? Yeah.
Just beautiful board games to play.
Such beautiful board games to play with you. Yeah. It's just a cool little variant on Clue, the classic deduction game, classic kind of hidden information and process of elimination game. So if you are familiar with that, it's great. It has a lot of very cool. The weapons have been replaced with the Master Scimitar, the Horn of Blasting, and the Censer of Remembrance.
No, I just love how Silverclaws, like, you just take your shoe and beat someone to death with it?
You just beat someone to death with your shoe. Oh, I guess somebody beat somebody to death with a candlestick in the last game, so I guess it's not, like, super far off, right? Yeah.
Well, so I also do just imagine going to a family, like, hey, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Hey, Mom, we're going to compromise. We're going to play Clue.
You're
comfortable with Clue.
Exactly.
But it's full of demons, so it's got something for me, too.
And a gerbil that'll eat your eyes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like the idea. Again, this is also based off of a 2000s release where there's an older version of a Clue Dungeons and Dragons set. This is kind of like that, but they've changed some of the pieces. They've changed the character names, and they've changed a few of the locations and stuff as well too. So yeah, if you're a fan of D&D, if you're a fan of Clue, you want to bring something, to Thanksgiving.
Well, it also seems interesting that like this is another example of Wizards of the Coast taking not just D&D broadly, but Baldur's Gate in particular,
especially,
and applying it to different types of board games. Because they did Murder in Baldur's Gate.
We did.
Which was Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Widow's Walk as well too. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So
yeah.
If this is a good time to be into Baldur's Gate.
I think so. Yeah, I think it's a very good time for a resurgence.
Also, it's Clue, so I don't think you can do anything to other players.
No.
So spite level relatively low.
Very low.
Unless you play with that one player.
You probably know Clue already. You probably know how to play this game.
All right. What's next?
Let's look at let's stay with the medieval theme. Let's look at Taverns of Tiefenthal. There we go. Okay. Taverns of Tiefenthal. This is a very heavy Euro game. This is something nice and crunchy for you. Yeah.
No, this is a light Euro
game. It is,
game.
well, physically it may be a light Euro game. I got these little arms, so everything's really heavy when you have these tiny little baby arms. The game itself is so you've played fantasy games where you go to the bar, Derek.
Yep.
Derek, what if you ran the bar? What if you were the barkeep? Oh, these board game designers, they're so crazy.
Yeah, this is a whole new dimension of possibilities.
Oh my goodness. So you're a local barkeep. You have to manage your bar, think about buying upgrades for the bar over the course of the game, and then basically you have patrons that are nobles, and depending on which nobles you attract to your bar, you have die rolls that will then happen, and then based on what numbers the nobles have on them, you will gain points based on that as well too.
So do the nobles come in and like leave Yelp reviews or something like that you have to deal with?
I wish they did, but unfortunately they don't scry scroll like a message into like, oh yeah, here's something like that. Yeah.
Verily, the service I got from the wench was the worst.
You walk up to the door and there's like orange text on the ground, and then it shows up as like a Dark Souls pop-up that says, boss ahead or something. Yeah. No, unfortunately, they don't leave you bad Yelp reviews. What they do is they come into they patronize your bar, and then they stay in your rooms. You can see they have these little rooms here where they will sit, and then you have to serve them as well too. You also have to hire barmaids and stuff over the course of the game. You have to hire like dish pit crew and stuff as well too.
This is like fantasy bar tycoon.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
It's like bar tycoon, you know what I mean? Where you're choosing how many, if you want to buy more rooms or if you need more, like, oh well, the dishes aren't being done, so we need more of this now and stuff as well too. So yeah, again, pretty heavy Euro as far as excuse me, pretty heavy Euro. It's not as stable as we think it is. Anyway, it's a pretty heavy Euro game, honestly. It reminds me a little bit of, it has kind of almost a Machikoro feel with, you have a spread of numbers and you're hoping to attract a spread of numbers and then make die rolls that'll then kind of...
Well, so if there's a lot of die rolls, if there's a lot of randomness, is it really a Euro game? Or is it just, does it have like a lot of resource management and feel like that?
Exactly. It has a lot of like resource management feel to it where you're using resources to then build out systems and then you're hoping that the die rolls then kind of...
So it's fairly complicated, fairly involved. There's a lot of resource management, building things like that. But if you don't normally like a Euro game because you kind of find them dry or then this may not be a concern for this game. You might want to check this one out.
You may want to check this one out. Okay. Also, it's got really good flavor as well too. It's just super flavorful. The nobles look great.
Super flavorful.
Yeah.
Because you got a good Yelp review for the taste of your menu.
The beautiful, the breadth of beers that I have is incredible. Yes. Yeah. Totally. It just the boards look great. You have your little, this is your victory point tracker, and you have kind of a market as well too there where you're buying.
It looks like there's a cardboard standee.
There is a beer stein standee that's like it's a player token that you can toss. There's also a moon that that also changes what time of day it is and stuff as well too over the course of the game, which is very cool. Yeah. So yeah, a very cool one.
So the other core thing about Euros is how much player interaction is there in this one?
This is very low with player interaction.
Okay.
This is very
so
much.
you're kind of building your own tableau.
You are definitely, this is your bar. Everyone has their own. One of the very cool things about this as well too is you can see here these characters right here, that's an insert in the board as well too. So that's actually cut into your board. So when you buy, you and everyone will replace the barkeep and stuff as well too. You actually pull it out of your board and you set that into your board as well too. So you are working on your own tableau and stuff as you go as well too.
So it does sound very, very Machikoro.
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
So it sounds like this is less like if you're way into Euros, but more if you have been playing Machikoro or Valeria Card Kingdoms.
Yeah.
And you want something much more complex with some resource management elements, then this is a good place to go.
Especially. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. And very low smite as well too. So if you need something like that especially.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
What's next?
Let's go with something from this side. Let's go with Ecos. Ecos looks really wild.
The first continent.
The first
Isn't that like Gondwana land, not Ecos?
Was it Pangea?
No, Pangea was after Gondwana land.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I didn't know nothing of the world.
Did I not tell you the stories about when I was a little kid?
What?
And I was like, Mommy, read me a book. She's like, okay, what story do you want? And I'm like, this, plate tectonics, the way the earth works. And she was like, are you kidding me?
Of course, sure. Oh, fantastic.
So, Ecos, the first continent.
Ecos, the first continent. This is a medium weight AEG game. If you like trains or planes or any of their...
None of those things are in this game.
None of those things are...
This is the first continent, so no
wipe
planes,
all of
no
that
trains.
out of your mind, exactly. If you like the mechanics of those games, you will pick this up and you will like this. It is very cool. It has a interesting... The idea is you're playing as one of you're kind of like an earth spirit. You're trying to mold the land and essentially to your whim and then place the animals in the places where they need to go as well too in the correct areas. Each turn starts with you getting a number of resources from a bag, which are these tiles, and then you reveal the tile that you have to see which resources you have. You can then use those to then buy different victory point tiles and different tiles to then place into the world. But if you cannot use them, they get turned into energy, or they get turned into a separate resource, which is a cube, that can then be used later in more mechanics in the game as well too. So if you don't get a resource on your turn that you can use, you can kind of turn it into a secondary resource. Exactly, a secondary resource that can then later be used to do stuff.
So it sounds like a resource management game where you're developing an ecosystem.
Developing an ecosystem, tile placement for sure. So you're placing in hex tiles next to certain areas and then terraforming them to score.
Are you building your own, or is this a central?
This is a central board game, so we're all working together in the same area. And then this kind of reminds me a little bit too of Planet, in that your scoring is based on terraforming areas and then scoring animals based on having the correct. You can see them on here. They will have, if they have the correct terraformed areas, you can score them in certain areas as well too on the map.
So someone in chat is asking if this is like Settlers of Catan, and it has hexes, but it doesn't seem like that because Settlers, you're trying to build settlements around numbers to get the resources to build things.
Exactly.
This one, you said you're just reaching into a bag to pull out the resources that you'll have.
Exactly.
And then you're using those resources to complete cards and kind of take actions and do things.
Yeah, move the continent around, move tiles around the continent. So you are actually making the board itself as you go, whereas you're gaining resources from the board in Catan. This is a little bit more using resources to then shape the board itself.
Yep. So even though it's got hexes and it's resource building or resource management,
exactly,
it's doesn't really feel the same as Catan.
It will feel very different from Catan. If you like the resource aspects of Catan, it has a little bit of that where you can see these cards here will have on the side of the card they will have a set of squares. If you can generate the same cubes of the same color, kind of like tiny towns in that way as well too. If you can place them on those, you can then score that and then use that animal to then place in the world as well too over the course of the game.
Great.
So it definitely has that kind of, it's definitely more, while it has that resource management aspect to it, it's definitely more building, creation.
So you're building your kind of ecosystem on a shared map. So there's probably some player interaction.
A little bit, not as spiteful though as what you'd think.
So is it really just you're occupying territory and you might butt up against somebody?
Exactly.
But,
yeah, very Carcassonne where I want to score something here maybe, but if you get to it first, maybe you score that.
But Carcassonne can get real spidey sometimes.
Sure,
that might say a lot about me, but the primal joy in Carcassonne is to see that huge city somebody built with that one person. And then you build your big city with two people, and you connect it, and you take it over.
That's why Witches in Terra Mystica, because you can teleport to forests and then start building around somebody's civilization, and then teleport the forest next to them, start building here, and then just block them in over the course of the game.
We're bad people.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
This table is bad.
The table, exactly. Exactly. Oh, nope. All right.
You're touching the table again. It's not permitted.
I'm going to put my hands in my lap. So Ecos, overall, if you like AEG games that are medium weight, again, like I said, like Trains or any of those kind of, that style of game, it's very much in that vein. It doesn't look too hard to teach, honestly, as far as about Tiny Town's weight as far as teaching goes as well, too, as far as getting people in the game. It's also 2 to 6, which is pretty long. I will say it is definitely a little bit on the longer side, though. You're definitely looking at
so it says 45, 75 minutes.
Yeah, probably about an hour and a half is what I'm looking at. Yeah, for sure, definitely. Yeah. And it definitely seems like the kind of game where it's very deliberate as well, too. It's very much a deliberate action taking, deliberate resource management and stuff as well, too. Yeah, seems very cool, though.
Any other games you would compare it to?
Ooh, boy. Not really, honestly. It's probably those are honestly my closest approximations to it.
Great.
Definitely, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
So if you like planes, if you like trains, but you don't like people or technology,
or you don't like the future, you want to let's go back to the past. So simpler times where nobody was on their phone, everyone was aware
because they weren't people, they were animals.
Exactly right. Yeah.
What's next?
All right, let's try ClipCut Parks because this one's really strange. So we have a long-standing tradition of having roll-in rights on this show. It seems like every week we consistently have some form of weird roll-in right something.
I just have to say, I want to play a game. I want to play the game that is on the picture here, not what I think this game is going to be. Because this picture is
chased through a park,
desperately running from these huge scissors that are destroying their world. And the back looks like it's just just make a park.
You just make a park with some scissors.
I want Attack of the 50-Foot Scissors.
I love
what
that.
I want.
It's a Batman game.
All right,
so
this is not quite a roll and write.
The world's first ever cut and write. That's right. You saw on this show first.
A roll and snip.
Go forth and tell people about the snip and write. Yeah, or the roll and snip. It seems
like this whole thing. Like there's one lady who's running at us, and
she's unaware.
She knows what's going on. All these other people are just like, it's the park, it's great. But she and the dogs are like, get out of here.
Right? Yeah. So you have at the start of the game, you have a huge piece of paper, which is it's about this big, and it just has tiles on it of different varieties in the game.
Okay.
The idea is you're going to take this game comes with 4 pairs of scissors, 4 actual pairs of scissors. You will cut the components of this game as you play.
So you can't run while playing this game.
No, you absolutely should not. Like this woman on the front of the boxes.
That's why the scissors are after her.
Exactly. So they know it's their one weakness. It's running. You roll a die, which gives you a number of cuts that you make, and then you cut out a certain shape, and then based on those shapes, you then score into a tableau area. It is very strange. I know. So you can see here, roll a die, which gives you a number,
Yep.
and then cutting out these to then score on your card here by fulfilling the shapes that you have here on the little box there. So you can see there we have
How many times can you play this
shapes
game?
on here. So you have a number of stacks of papers in here. So you do have a number of like, you can go through it so many times. I can only imagine they're going to sell more.
Well, like, so my first thought was like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, this is just to get me to buy more copies of this game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but rolling rights, you have
Also,
a patent, and I end up drawing on the rolling rights,
exactly,
so I have
right?
to buy a new
That
one
was kind of
anyway.
my thought process as well too. Also, I like the idea of, because it comes with scissors as well too.
I
and
still
at first
want
I was,
this murder scissor
I
game.
do still want the murder scissor game, but it's a really weird new take on that. I don't even know if it's like, because I don't really play that many roll and writes, to be honest, personally. Like, I played Cartographers a number of times because I do really I love Cartographers. I do think it's a really, really fantastic game. But I'm really curious to see how clean something like this is as well too. Also, I'm curious if you play this with somebody with a younger age group, like somewhere between like 8 and 9, and you just accidentally like ruin your like your cut setting. What do you do after that? Do you start over, or do you
you berate them for losing the tournament.
Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah. So I think it's a very cool idea. It's a weird. I'm glad that we're playing with the idea of roll and rights as well too as a mechanic.
Yeah, my friend Marion really likes roll and rights, so I
yeah.
would be curious to see what she thinks of this.
Yeah.
And especially like this says ages 8+,
Right.
But there are probably 8-year-olds that I wouldn't want getting excited with scissors.
No, at all, right? Exactly. Yeah, I personally know some 8-year-olds that I would not trust.
Honestly, there are adults that I probably wouldn't want getting excited with scissors. Now that I say this,
I play minis and I cut myself all the time with my X-Acto knife, so I'm sure. Yeah, right.
I was trying to explain to my wife why I have a little scar here. You remember Micro Machines?
Yeah.
Remember Micro Machine planes?
Yeah.
And they had they had the wheels in the back and they had the notch in the front. The stand in the front.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, I never want my plane to have its landing gear down.
Sure.
I want to fly my little plane.
Of course.
So you would have to, I would pry off the wheels in the back,
Ooh.
and then you would put the nose of the plane here, and you would hold it like this, and you would put the X-Acto knife, and then you would try to squeeze. And multiple times, just like through the top of my finger.
Oh my god.
Well,
yeah.
cool.
No, I've been doing a lot of modding Space Marines recently, and I've been doing a lot of cutting my fingers with X-Acto knives as well.
Probably shouldn't do
Yeah,
that.
it's
All right. So neither of us are authorized to play this
No,
game.
neither of us. Nope. So, Marion, you tell us how it is. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, looks interesting. Looks like a cool new take. If you like roll and writes, please
How
check
do
it
you
out.
get things to stick to your board? Do
So
you just
they're
hope that
paper.
you don't- I know, but like, I mean, have
You just lay it on top.
I know, but have you ever cut out a bunch of pieces of paper and then put them on a
And then
board
tried
and
to
had
stick them
stay
together.
the same?
Yeah, I do see where you're going. You lick them, you lick the back of it, and then you stick it on the top.
No, I'm never playing this game with you. ever.
Right? Yeah.
All right.
All
so,
right.
It's a roll and write.
It's a roll and write.
So, if
did
you're a
it,
fan of
folks.
roll and writes.
Yeah.
But probably also not a whole lot of player interaction, I don't expect.
God, no. Almost none whatsoever.
Especially with scissors. Like,
Yeah,
just reach across the board,
especially,
cut your
Nope.
opponent's board in
Yeah.
half.
Yeah, it's mostly
So low spite,
roll die,
like
cut
roll
some
and
stuff
write
out.
kind of thing.
score a tableau. Yeah.
We need to figure out some alliterative thing. Like snip and score. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
It says clip cut. I don't like that's snip. We're gonna go with snip and score.
Cut and credit.
Roll and remove.
3 points. There you go.
All right.
Like that.
We have the last
All
one.
right.
Pret-à-Porter.
Prêt-à-Porter, a game that I cannot pronounce. A game about fashion.
Isn't it just Pret-à-Porter?
I think it's Prêt-à-Porter.
All right.
Probably.
Hey, this is our
This is our heavy
this is
Euro
as
of the
close
week.
as we get to heavy Euro
Yeah,
game. I think.
this is our heavy Euro of the week.
So this is a game that I thought was pretty intriguing for a while, because it's just it's very visually distinctive.
Yeah, it is.
And the premise is so different from
a lot of stuff.
pretty much every other board game.
Yeah, absolutely it is.
Also, wasn't this just on Kickstarter?
Yeah, this is like hit retail today.
Yeah, but I mean, like I think this was on Kickstarter within the last couple months. So this had a very, very quick turnaround
Yeah.
from Kickstarter.
As you can see, it looks absolutely gorgeous. The box art itself, even like the component pieces on the back, you won't be able to really see this, but the component pieces on the back of here are just absolutely insane. They're so nice. The game itself, obviously, like I said, is a fashion-based game. So it's a game about being a fashion designer, but also kind of owning your own fashion brand and your own like entire like empire, essentially, over the course of the game. So it not only deals with design work, but it also deals with hiring designers, hiring like retail spaces, hiring retail employees to then sell in those spaces, like what does it mean to have a brand and stuff as well too.
I think we covered this in a Kickstarter, I think, during our Kickstarter segment during Table Takes.
Exactly.
Because I remember talking about how it's both coming up with the designer, but then figuring out all of the like capitalist ecosystem that exists around it.
Business aspect of it as well too. Yeah. Honestly, it kind of reminds me of Kanban, weirdly enough, because it has so many of these aspects that are like, because Kanban has this whole thing where this is where I build my engine, this is where I build my tires, this is where I build my thing, and this very much has this, this is where my designer is designed, but then this is where my brand is being, where we're doing our marketing, and it's because it literally has a marketing aspect to this where you have to be friends with like magazines and websites to get your brand out there and stuff as well too. So here's my marketing department, and here's my literal sales floor, and like with my you have like employee like cards that you get that are like, this is my retail employee.
Because I remember you needed to buy designers to give yourself opportunity to expand in the future, things like that.
Yeah, and stuff as well too. So it's definitely, it's definitely weighty for sure. Just right off the bat, and it definitely, but at the same time, it's fully themed.
Well, and everything that I heard this compared to were the kind of economic trade. Like empire building games that are almost always themed around Europe conquering the world. But this one instead is a much less conflict or exploitation driven, and much more about like an idealized view of the fashion industry.
Exactly. And what does that industry look like, like resource wise?
So people who want that kind of gameplay, but really could care less about the latest time that France has conquered the world,
or whatever,
or the Roman Empire, trading across the Mediterranean, have a completely different theme to play with.
Yeah, especially, and a very cool theme with that, one that I think is not covered a lot in the board games industry as well, and just in general.
Yeah, very like the design, the art, just very, very striking.
Absolutely striking. Yeah, very, very, very cool. Yeah, and again, like you said, it very much about industry and about that type of stuff. I think Kanban was the first thing that popped into my mind when I saw the back of the board as well too, with the number of like areas that you're kind of moving stuff around in and stuff as well too.
Great.
Yeah.
So do you have any idea how much play interaction there is?
So from what I understand, not a lot, because again, this is very much it's empire building.
You're not giving me a whole lot of material for my grist.
Not a lot of There was a lot of Spite this morning that I could find. A lot of cute quirky games and Clue, and you know what I mean? Yeah, there wasn't a lot to bring in today.
You've left me hanging.
I have left you hanging today. I'm sorry. I'll try harder next month when I bring in more stuff. Yeah. It just seems absolutely fantastic. It just looks very cool. I like the idea of kind of.
Are there any other economic games other than Kanban that you can think of that this might key into?
Euphoria is the other one.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Yeah, Euphoria.
Euphoria was very popular.
Yeah, especially because again, the way the board is set, the way the board is laid out as well too, it very much has those kind of like you have almost areas of the board that represent industrial areas, and then you're moving kind of your stuff between those to kind of complete stuff as well too, and I very much like that. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but definitely not dystopian.
And is that it?
I believe that is everything that I brought today. Yeah, that's everything that I got from you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for bringing these games.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you to Mox for allowing you to grab all these games on your way to the studio.
Quick thing this morning. Yep.
Is there anything else that you want to say about yourself or Mox or anything like that before we go?
Come visit us at Mox Boarding House Seattle. Come visit me in the store. Come hang out and play board games. If you're a Warhammer player, come play Kill Team or Warhammer with me on.
Yeah. What did you think about the new models that got announced?
I'm very excited. The new Sisters of Battle stuff looks absolutely gorgeous.
You want a church tank too?
I want a church tank so bad. The church. I used to play Dawn of War, Soulstorm, so they had the animated versions of that. So seeing them in like a real model form is absolutely fantastic as well too. It looks absolutely super cool. Please come follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Valafor. I stream video games a lot, so come follow me and my friends and watch us play Destiny.
Yeah, we need to play more Destiny.
We need to play more Destiny for sure. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you again, friends.
All right, thank you everybody for joining us. Keep in mind, we will be back on Monday night with the Brothers Murph.
Yep.
They'll be playing one board game or another. Wednesdays, we have Fireside with Peter Atkinson. He's still going through and mining the stories of the beginning and development of Magic before it became the huge beast that it is now. It was a huge beast then too, just a kind of a different beast.
It was a beast that lived in his garage apparently.
Yeah.
When they had one Commodore 64 to work on. Yeah.
Yep. So we'll be back for that with some more stories of that era. And then every Friday at 11 a.m. we have Table Takes where we cover the news. I think the episode we just had was mainly us arguing about D&D, the definition of what a
what an
living card
LCG
game was,
means,
and all that kind of stuff. And then we go through Kickstarters.
Yep.
And then you can join us for the new release rundown and see what has come out that week. So thank you, everybody, for joining us. And hopefully we'll see you in the future and at other shows.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
Thank you again, folks.